Over the years, Uganda, the birthplace of Robusta coffee, has been termed as a sleeping giant. This is because, despite the country's natural endowments, production levels of coffee have been static, but analysts say it's high time those involved walked the talk.
Somebody was blaming us. Some group from Malaysia were blaming us that we are doing a lot of theory work and paperwork. We don't put things into being, into practice. So we are trying to inform our people that really, let's try to do things and put them into practice, so that if you try and fail, it's easier to correct than talking about it all the time.
The challenges of the coffee industry is marketing, meaning taking our coffee abroad. When you do that, of course, the challenges are you're competing with people who are much better organized, much better funded, like Brazil, like Ethiopia, who have been in industry for a long time. I am suggesting that we should make tourism a key sector, the engine of growth for this country. Because currently we are getting 1 million tourists per year. But a smaller country than Uganda, which is called Malaysia, is getting 22 million tourists per year. Imagine if we could bring here 22 million tourists to take our coffee, because all of them will be coffee consumers, to consume our coffee. How much more would that do, not only to the coffee industry, but to the hotel industry, to the milk industry, to the boda industry, to the crafts industry? Tourism can be the engine that pulls each sector in this country.
To me, it's quite key, because she's talking about coffee and tourism. And therefore, what should we do to bring in the tourist industry into coffee promotion? And I think, as we go out of here, if it is not articulately provided for in the strategy, I think that should be done.
Uganda Coffee Development Authority's Executive Director Henry Ngabirano says the replanting campaigns should be streamlined. Some say to take the next big leap of increasing productivity, government and the private sector need to work together.
7 million bags since 1964, so that was really the static figure. Okay, we had a slightly lower, slightly higher during the chaos periods of the 70s when statistics weren't very good and there was a lot of smuggling. We don't quite know what was going on in that period. So actually 3.5 million bags is quite a big achievement. So we're 800,000 bags, or nearly 50,000 tons better than we were previously. I think to take the next big leap into the sort of 4 million, 4.5, 5 million bag segment is really everybody coming together and understanding what the core issues are. I think it's taken us a long time to realize what needs to be done to improve productivity. But I think if you look at the private sector and you look right round government, or you look at the support from the government, look at the UCDA, we all seem to be talking the same language now, and I think that's very, very positive.
The coffee wood disease and the tree borer are also to be blamed for the inconsistent coffee exports. However, with the creation of a research center to deal with coffee diseases which have ravaged many plantations in the countryside, there is a ray of hope that production and productivity will increase.
A research center for all these constraints we have, say coffee wilt disease and coffee twig borer. We have information that we have so far on how best to handle these constraints to coffee production, and we are continuing to work hard to generate even better options for managing these problems. For the coffee wilt disease, Nakoria has come up with a composite of 7 varieties which are resistant to the disease. These varieties, I call them composite because they have to be planted together for purposes of their reproduction. So those varieties have been developed, they've been released, and they are being multiplied by the Institute using 2 main methods, that is cuttings, propagation by cuttings, and then propagation by tissue culture. Once we generate the initial stock of the materials, we hand them over to Uganda Coffee Development Authority to distribute to various farmers at various districts. Actually, they distribute to nursery operators from where the farmers can get these varieties.
With the domestic consumption of coffee in the country exhibiting a positive trend, the coffee enthusiasts foresee a bright future in the industry.
My friend here, behind the camera. Alright, so quite it's a straight beverage that you can consume very quickly in less than even 2 minutes because of the temperature, as I advised earlier, 60-70, friendly for the palate, sweetness of milk and coffee balance.
Coffee cupping results show that the Pearl of Africa's coffee cup is unrivaled in the continent, for it has a full and heavy body, lower acidity, great aroma, and rural aspects. Samuel Senono, UBC Business.